Hello, welcome to another episode of A Closer Look. I'm Superintendent Gerald Hill, and I'm here with Alesia Flye, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction. We're also joined today by West Bloomfield High School Associate Principal Mara Hoffert and our Advanced Placement Biology teacher, Mr. Chris Sturgill. Today, we are going to talk about our hybrid classes, a new initiative that we introduced last spring. I had the opportunity to be in Dr. Joe Brandel's Advanced Placement Calculus class last week, and he gave us a fair description of what a hybrid class actually looks like. Let's take a look.
A hybrid class is using as many resources as our students have access to, but it's not abandoning kids to learn on their own. A hybrid class really offers us an opportunity to enrich and remediate students when the pace dictates something that they can determine. But it's not just handing over all learning experiences to the students. We really take some opportunities to see where the students are, to use online resources, many times to come to class with questions. Many times students can go home and use everything from course-driven websites to websites from different universities to access materials and problems. It's a really, really nice blend.
Mara, can you tell us a little about the genesis of hybrid classes and how and why they were developed?
Sure. If you look at our district's vision and mission statements, it talks a lot about preparing students to be their best in and for the world. And one of the things that, as a district and as teachers, we have noticed is that a lot of the graduate and college courses offer online components, and we feel that we needed to really prepare students for that experience. Additionally, we had students who were looking for more of a challenge, and we also had students who were trying to take some online courses but weren't fully successful without any instructor face-to-face type of piece. So we blended the two and made a face-to-face component to our hybrid course, which is also some online components, and really it's taken off well.
Alesia, as the person responsible for curriculum instruction in our school district, tell us why it's important to have hybrid classes at our high school.
Sure. The hybrid classes was really another opportunity to continue the level of excellent teaching and learning that occurs at West Bloomfield High School. It's important at the high school level to have comprehensive programming options for students, and the hybrid classes provided an attractive alternative for some students, and it was a way to also better personalize learning. And as Myra mentioned, in terms of 21st century learning, that type of course addressed those kind of skills. And so we have gotten excellent feedback from students and parents who have had experience with our hybrid classes. So again, we're very excited to provide this opportunity, this learning experience for the students in our high school. Mara, can you share with us just some ways that the program has changed since it was originally developed?
Sure. Really, this hybrid experience is an evolving machine. It's almost like a living document where every day teachers are finding new apps, new experiences for students, and as we get more teachers that join, they're actually collaborating and sharing those. So really this is evolving day to day, year to year.
Chris, how has this way of teaching and learning changed how information is delivered in your classroom?
It's been a big transformation. The AP Biology course has actually made a transition to doing more inquiry science, and this works hand in hand with the hybrid. So a lot of the content has been we've been able to move it outside of the classroom, and inside the classroom it looks more like science. We're actually able to do science practice. So science practice would look like making models, using math and statistical tools more appropriately. Kids actually have time to sit down and plan experiments that they themselves are going to try to collect data, quantitative data from, which is a very difficult thing to do. So it looks more like science.
Great. We had an opportunity to visit Mr. Sturgill's class the other day. Let's take a look at what we saw.
Usually with some hybrid things. You get access to, like you said, a lot more materials than you normally have with a textbook, and so it is pretty convenient to. Dr. B's always posting practice and support, so if you're ever behind on something, you just go online and there's a million different problems to help you get better at something, which was always convenient. And then there were also YouTube links to people explaining things further or explaining new things, so that was also really helpful. So even when you were away, you could still be learning the subject, and as well you also get to leave school early, which is a phenomenal thing.
Mm-hmm. Chris, how does student engagement look different in your class?
Well, students are more engaged when they feel like they have ownership and autonomy. And so what I try to do is I try to set up a problem that the students are going to solve that's related to the content. And so my job is to allow them to have the tools that they need to solve those problems and to give them the time that they need to solve those problems. And by moving some of the content outside of the classroom and me always being there for support, I feel like the kids' motivation has really is much greater than it used to be.
Thank you, Chris. We're going to take a short break. Joining us next is Mervet Ismail, Advanced Placement Chemistry teacher. You're watching A Closer Look.
Welcome back to A Closer Look. We're pleased to welcome Mervet Ismail, who teaches Advanced Placement Chemistry at West Bloomfield High School. Mervet, can you just describe for us the classroom setting on a hybrid day?
So typically, since I teach a 7th hour, the students will walk in and just to make sure that there's nothing that they need before they head out. And I can go over a few things with them just to make sure that they're on the right track, and at least in the beginning of the year, just while they get used to this setup. And then they have, students will leave, students can stay. They can basically choose from a multitude of different things that are set up on the calendar. So I have an interactive calendar for them. And so they can choose to do different things. They don't need to necessarily do it within that hour and a half. So there may be an online quiz that they can take. It may be something to the effect of working on a lab report in a Google Doc. It could be basically just working together and collaborating and working on a blog. So there are a whole bunch of different things that they can basically do within that, what I'm calling hour and a half, but it doesn't necessarily need to be done at that time. So if a student wants to leave and work on something in the evening, or maybe they work better early in the morning, maybe they work better at 5 o'clock a.m., then they have that choice and they have that flexibility to be able to do that. So on average, at the beginning of the year, it seems like I probably have a good number, about 8 out of my 32 students that will definitely stay at least on a hybrid day and just work together. Would prefer that, still having me there to ask questions and to go through things. And so it's nice because I can get that one-on-one time with those students that do need a little bit of that extra help. And we can go through things together and slow things down. And there can be videos that they watch, whether they're class lectures of mine, or they can be someone else's lectures that we found online, and different things of that sort that they can be watching, and then they can ask questions to either myself or they can work from Starbucks. So they have different settings that they can have.
Great. That sounds like a very challenging, rigorous learning environment for students that really allows you to personalize instruction and help meet the individual needs of students. Also, at the high school level with the hybrid classes, we hear a lot of students talking about Google Docs. For those who are watching this program and are unfamiliar with it, can you explain to us what Google Docs are?
Sure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Google platform in general, because we do really use a whole bunch of these different Google apps in the classroom. So for example, we do lab reports. So the students will be in class and they'll do a lab, they'll perform the lab, and then after, the students can collaborate and work together, and that can be done from, again, the comfort of their own home. It can be done on a hybrid day, or it can be done when they're working side by side within the classroom. But they can use a Google Doc and all share right within the document. So they invite each other, one person sets it up, and then they invite other students via email, and those students then can go on and be able to edit in real time. And so they can see each other's comments, and they can just add right in immediately. We also use Google Spreadsheets, and so they will go into spreadsheets, create a graph, a data table and a graph, and then be able to also put that into the lab report. And we've also used Google Presentations, which is also a fabulous way of having them do things like we were doing chemistry in the news, and groups of students were reporting on different chemistry in the news where they had an article. And the presentation, again, could be worked on from different homes and different locations, but they're still working on the same presentation. So it makes it nice as far as the collaboration piece, and they don't have to be signed on to any one particular computer. They can, as long as they have internet access and they can get to their Google Drive, then they can access that presentation from anywhere.
Thank you for that explanation. Let's take a look at how some students are collaborating and using Google Docs.
The benefit is definitely being able to work in different settings, because you don't always have time to get together as a group and be able to collaborate into one project. So what Google Docs allows you to work on the same project from different locations. So I could be out of the country and I could still be helping my group mates on a lab report that we have to do that's due, let's say, the following day in this class.
We utilize Google Docs a lot in this class. So when we're doing lab reports, or we did a project called Chem in the News where we present a news article about that relates to chemistry, we didn't even have to meet in person. If our schedules didn't work out, we could work collectively on one document.
Sometimes we do plan. If we're all confused about something, maybe we'd come in and ask a question, or maybe we'd all sit down to try and talk about it. So we're not completely isolated from each other, but the Google Docs does help with like the timing and not having to be like stuck in one location doing one thing. Because we could go do other homework from another class, jump back on Google Docs and do some chemistry. So it's a good mix, and it helps organize things a little bit better.
It was pretty easy to adjust to, because at first I had some difficulties with the calculations in the lab, and I was able to just post it on the Google Doc, and within minutes my group members helped me out with what I needed to learn, and I was able to give them some insight on how to do some other parts of the lab. So it's very easy to adjust to and learn.
It's really great to see how students are benefiting greatly from the flexibility of the scheduling of hybrid classes. Mervet, can you explain to us also what WebAssign is?
So the students have an evaluation system that is online, and they basically can go on, and whether it's just a homework assignment that's not timed and they get multiple submissions and it tells them whether or not their answer is correct. And so they can work together on that, or it can be a quiz where it can be even set up as a timed quiz where, depending on what time they log in, it can give them, let's say, 45 minutes to take a quiz and then submit it. It also, there is an analysis piece to it, so it's nice from a teacher perspective also to be able to analyze the data and see where are students having some issues, where are they having some problems. And so I've used it both as a pre-evaluation and post-evaluation as well, too.
Thank you for explaining that. The students definitely seem to be responding well to the hybrid courses. Let's hear what a few students have to say about how they use WebAssign.
A thing that really helps me with this class was a WebAssign, because Mrs. Ismail puts time quizzes on there and reviews for the test, so it really helps me to go through the WebAssign and see what I need to work on and what I'm good on for the test.
So the WebAssign helps review for tests and stuff. So when Miss Ismail is here and we can work on it together, it's a lot easier to synergize and to work together to figure it out. And it also helps with the review because we just go over the stuff over and over on the website.
Mervet, I also noticed that you tape your classes. Can you explain the significance of doing that?
So I was looking for, starting this hybrid, I was looking for different videos that I could post for the students to be able to watch and then answer questions and take notes and things of that sort. And I found that a lot of times the things that we were doing, it was so specific and it was different from what I was finding online. And so I still use a lot of different resources, but at the same time, it was nice for students to be able to go back to my style of doing it as well, something that they're used to, that they're comfortable with. And so we record the classes, some of the lectures, and then the students are able to review that on their own time. I tell them that using YouTube, they can speed me up, they can slow me down, and so it makes it really nice to be able to use those settings to be able to do that, again, from the comfort of their own home. And sometimes there is a topic that they've gotten and they do not need to review again, but there's something else that they really want to make sure that they go over. And so it makes it nice to be able to replay that lecture back again.
Mara, we also have hybrid classes in American government, world history, and world literature. What kind of impact are you seeing overall that the hybrid classes are having as they're being taught?
Well, currently West Bloomfield High School offers 9 hybrid courses, and we are seeing wonderful, wonderful benefits. We're seeing more student engagement, we're seeing more accountability on students and for students, and really what's most exciting is we're seeing a development of independent skills and ownership over the material and over the learning that we see on college campuses. So we are very, very sure that our students are going to be very successful when they get there.
Thank you, Mara. So to recap, students are more engaged, they have more ownership of their learning, and we're preparing them for higher education at the same time.
Dr. Hill, I think you can see that the hybrid classes are definitely making a positive impact in our classrooms, and I'm so glad we have the opportunity to take a look at learning in our hybrid classes and just to see the impact that's being made at West Bloomfield High School.
I want to thank Mervet and Mara for joining us today. We have taken a closer look at hybrid classes, connecting students to the real world.